Before we start the news, let me tell you the news. The news is that episodes 1A and 1B from the CrossFit Games behind the scenes have been released. They are for free on the Sevan Podcast YouTube station. Start the journey now. It is an epic tale, 14 episodes. You want to check it out. And now let's dig into the news. First off, Scott Switzer of Clydesdale Media, a place where I get a ton of my information before I do podcast. I always search his station to see if he or any of his colleagues have interviewed any of the people I'm going to have on. For instance, like I had Denise Moore on this morning. It appears Scott, who is a staple in the CrossFit media space, he says, the last few days have been wild. I couldn't breathe. I lost strength and energy, went to family and doctors and was treated for a lung infection. Symptoms started getting better, then fell off a cliff. That's scary. So I went to the ER on Saturday, diagnosed with a fib. I'm guessing that means his heart was doing something. His ticker wasn't beating right. And early onset pneumonia. Transferred to local hospital where I currently sit in ICU, intensive care unit, waiting on cardiologist to visit Sunday morning. So maybe it is his heart. Thank you, everyone, for the well wishes and prayers. If you want to drop some love on Mr. Switzer, go over to the Clydesdale Media, CLYDESDALE_media on Instagram. I'm sure he'd appreciate the love. The next bit in the news is just sort of an update. What do you guys think? Do you think Mal O'Brien is going to do the CrossFit Games this year? I suspect she'll do the Open. I suspect she'll do it maybe because she wants to, or maybe because she has contractual obligations. Her last chunk of posts have been from what appears to be Kauai, Hawaii, and it's looks like it's just a peddling of her wares. GoWOD Mobility First, checking my daily GoWOD. So I'm guessing. I think the way some of these sponsorships work, these collaborations, as people call them, is you have to make a certain amount of posts. She's filling her duties, getting paid, and she's had a bunch of posts in Hawaii. I suspect Mal is not going to make a run for the games this year. Wow. Guess who has a boyfriend? Happy birthday to my favorite person. Thank you for always taking care of me, especially carrying my bags and cleaning up when I spill, being my first supporter and believer, teaching me patience, having the biggest heart, and always being so thoughtful, being the best travel and adventure buddy. I promise one day it will be less stressful to travel with me. Sarah Sigman's daughter says about this man, this hunk of a man she's standing next to who's taking the picture. She says, I promise one day it will be less stressful to travel with me, loving food as much as I do. Never thought that would be even possible. Being so creative, inspiring me with what you create, especially your homemade office for the drone on the beach. And last but not least, introducing me to my kryptonite, Percy Pigs, and Crunchy Biscoff. May this next trip around the sun be the best one yet. And it is this, I am Luke Brawn. Now, I say it's her boyfriend. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just her, I don't know, her film dude. I don't know. Maybe. We got to get her on the podcast. We got to find out. But this dude does seem to have a fondness for similar activities as our beloved Sarah Sigman's daughter. He lifts weights. He drinks some like trendy stuff that CrossFitters drinks. He walks, does handstand walks and crashes. So he appears to be legit. If it is her boyfriend, I definitely approve. No pictures of her in his catalog of hunks. And so it's almost like maybe something that they were keeping on the DL. I was interviewing Sarah, I don't know, a couple months ago, and there was clearly someone in the room. I was joking around with her about it in the private chat. We didn't talk about it publicly, but I could tell by the way she was behaving or moving her eyes that someone was in there. Wow. So this is going to be a fun one. A little off the direct CrossFit topic, but Finnair sparks debate by asking passengers to voluntarily weigh themselves before being boarded. Finland's national air carrier, where our beloved Miko Salo is from. Finnair announced this week that they would be asking passengers to voluntarily weigh themselves along with their luggage at the country's main airport in Helsinki. The information collected will remain anonymous and will be used to assist with the airline's total cargo calculations. Now, you see, there's already a problem there, right? If you need it to assist with the airline's total cargo calculations, then it probably shouldn't be voluntary. Finnair currently uses these estimates of people's average weight to determine aircraft balance calculations. Definitely should not be voluntary. This information is essential to determine that the aircraft remains below the set maximum weight required for a safe takeoff. Government authorities require Finnair to update these estimates every 5 years. How the fuck is this voluntary? In an appearance on UK television show Good Morning Britain, model Hayley Hasselhoff, obese, commented on Finnair's new system, raising concerns that although it's voluntary now, it might become compulsory further down the line. She noted that being weighed at the airport could be triggering. Who gives a fuck if it means we don't die? For some passengers, this might be triggering, especially for anyone with an eating disorder or in recovery from one. We don't give a shit. You can't have an eating disorder if the plane crashes. I've had friends go to, she goes on to say, I've had friends go to airlines and not know that there was a disclaimer that they were going to be weighed. No one gives a shit. How is this even part of the conversation? You say, Sevi, show us this Miss Hasselhoff, David Hasselhoff's whiny daughter. And she's exactly what you would imagine. Thirst trap fatty.
What makes me feel connected
Excuse me.
to my being? Making sure I have the right undergarments throughout the day. So I know, no matter what, I can conquer all. You want to feel connected. Acceptance in your body. What makes me feel
By the way, that's
connected
the
to my
absolute
being?
best she can look. I chose that because I thought she actually did look pretty good there. But if you go through her images, you'll see that she reeks of a giant trigger warning and a poster child for fucking mental health. How anyone's concerns about triggering someone else would determine the safety of an aircraft is beyond me. Sage Bergner of the Mayhem lifting squad writes, start calling every woman in your life sis, and your relationship with yourself and others drastically improves. So I started doing that today a little bit, sis. And I was reading stuff on Instagram and I was like, that bitch. And then I switched it to that sis. And I was like, oh, my sis. And it's right. That actually does work. You want to be a nicer person? Just start calling every woman in your life sis, and your relationship with yourself and others drastically improves. Dig it. Solid advice. Not only one of the best lifting coaches in the space, but now dropping bombs of wisdom. More wisdom. If I was woke, this would be Women's Week, right? I'd have to be like, oh my God, look at all these smart women in the space. Oh my God. But I'm not woke, and it's just smart people. As of 1994, supplements became regulated like a food, not a drug, says E.C. Sinowski, the beloved CrossFit nutrition guru. So supplements don't have to demonstrate purity or efficacy before going to market. They're able to make claims that have not been validated in scientific literature or by a government agency. And that's an important little note from E.C. Sinowski. That's as of 1994, supplements became regulated like a food, not a drug. Worth noting. Be smart. Do your research. Finally, one of the greatest athletes of our time, regular on the show. What an absolute beast. Hunter McIntyre. Love the guy. True influencer, a needle mover. He now holds the world record in high rocks for both individual and team. he is not a spring chicken. I want to say Hunter's 34 and continues to just destroy. Look at his movement, is just beautiful. Can't wait to have him on the show again. Congratulations, Hunter, for holding both world records. And I asked him about it today, and he said, of course I hold both because I am not a pussy. And that is verbatim. I didn't ask him if I could quote him, but I have. And finally, the wait is over. Brooke Wells' book is out. And you can be sure that there was a pro doing it. It's Christine Bald. I believe I'm pronouncing her name right. Christine Bald is the co-writer on the book. She wrote a couple of Ben Bergeron's books, including Chasing Excellence. She was a co-writer in that. And I believe she's working on a book currently with Annie Thor's daughter. And she either did write a book with Katrin David's daughter, or she is. And so she's definitely the go-to choice. All the best people in the space are using her to help them with the writing. She was also, her most infamous project, I think, is when she does the writing, and she takes over the Dave Castro Instagram account. And I think it's her husband, maybe, who's her personal photographer. No. I think I met her husband at the games this year. He was a great guy. They're a great couple. Anyway, hard worker. First and foremost, I admire the fuck out of her. She's a hard worker. Anyway, Christine Bald. And that is the news. The station's blowing up. So many great things on there. Look around everywhere. And I will see you guys tomorrow with more news. Bye-bye.